All right, you know what? It is 5 o'clock on the West Coast here, 7 o'clock in Lima, Peru, apparently. So we're going to kick this off and get started for today. So what I'm going to do, I realize I'm way late on this thing. I should have actually done this part to begin with. So let me just turn on my PowerPoint and share my screen here, and we'll do our standard little intro here before we turn the screen over to Carlos. So welcome to the Thursday, September 7th edition of the Vancouver Power BI and Modern Excel User Group, and we've got Truly Modern Excel today, working with tips and tricks for interactive charts with dynamic arrays by Carlos Barboza, which is going to be pretty awesome. But before we let him actually talk to us about this stuff, I got to do my standard little intro here. So welcome to the meetup. I want to do a big thanks to our sponsors. SkillWave, of course, is the title sponsor for every meetup that we do through VanPUG. That is the training company that Matt Allington and I run together, where we do amazing training on Excel and Power Query and Power BI, Power Pivot, DAX, all kinds of good stuff there. If you're looking to really go and master your data modeling and build some amazing business solutions, you should definitely come and check us out. Excel Guru is a parent company of SkillWave and also happens to be the company that distributes Monkey Tools, which is our add-in for making you or helping you build better data models faster. Our next meetups that we actually have coming up here, we've got Alex Kolakolov that is going to be joining us in a couple of weeks to talk about extracting maximum value from KPI cards in Power BI. Do notice the start time for this is not our usual 5 p.m. Pacific time. It is 10 a.m. Alex is going to be joining us, I believe, from Georgia, being the country, not the state. So we're trying to make that time a little bit more conducive for him. Our next Excel track that's going to be coming up on October 5th. We're looking forward to welcoming Eric Ohm. The title of this one, Micro Automations, the robots are coming. If you know Eric, he does the Excel robot. So this is going to be cool stuff as well. He and I have a lot in common on the way we think about different pieces here and trying to make users' lives easier. So I think you'll like what you see here as well. Speaking of Monkey Tools, my software to help you build better data models faster, we have actually released a new update as of August 28th. We have got an update to the Biblio Monkey where the Monkey now will actually let you store and inject your Python formulas into your workbooks, providing, of course, that you've won the lottery on the Insider channel and actually have Python. I mean, we'll try and put it in there if you don't, but you're just going to get a name error. Anyhow, so this is kind of cool because like normal, you can go and you can tag these things. So when you're inserting them into your models, it'll prompt you for replacements and things like that. All the standard things that the Biblio Monkey does. And the other cool thing about this is even though Microsoft may charge you to use Python, we do not. This is one of those insert features that we give people for free. You can just right click on it right on your worksheet and insert, and it's going to do it right on the spot. That's part of the free license. You don't need a pro license to do that. So that's one of the new updates that's there. So if you are interested in playing around with Python and have the Python bits in your Excel instance that's happened, then at that point you'll get some use out of this, hopefully. So there you go. Just a quick note that I've got a couple of boot camps that are going to be starting off, the 13th of September. That's next week. Holy cow. So if you are looking for either yourself or some team members to get upskilled on the Excel fundamentals from formulas all the way through pivot tables and Power Query, this is a great program to go and do it. It is a coached program where we actually have a bunch of interaction here. Hang on a second. I have got some background noise on my thing here. So let me see if I can just mute that. All right. Who is my user that is not muted?
I think it might.
There we go. All right. I think we got it. You know, new teams, you go and you click something once and it puts up a pop-up over top and you can't dismiss it, which is just really frustrating. Anyhow, so if you're looking to learn your basic Excel skill set, get ready for deeper places, this is a great program to get started with that. As I say, it's a fully coached program, lots of Ask Ken sessions where you can get interaction to help you apply the tips to your own workings as well. In addition to this, we are doing a live self-service business intelligence and data visualization bootcamp. We have one coming up in Boston, Massachusetts, one in Portland, Oregon, later on in October and November. If you're interested in joining us live for this, it's 3 days with myself, a day with John Peltier, or you can bundle it all together. In addition to getting the 3 days of in-person, you also get a year's worth of access to my self-service BI bootcamp online as well, which means that, once the 3 days are done and you've, finished consuming all that, you also have the ability to go back and see more and revisit it later on when you're trying to apply it in the real world. That self-service BI bootcamp is also, of course, available online as well. You can check out the link for it here. A new semester of that one, again, starts up September 13th. This meetup, along with every other one, is always recorded and posted on our SkillWave YouTube channel. I usually try to get this done within 24 to 48 hours after the meetup has happened. I kind of fell down on that one a little bit for the last meetup, but we'll try and get Carlos's up in a reasonable amount of time here. So if you're looking for those, we do post in the meetup site to let people know when the recording is live, so you can always go back and watch it later. If you're interested in some bite-sized videos, we got a couple of cool little monkey shorts videos that we're featuring here, solving many-to-many joins and some DAX functions and power pivots, splitting records of Power Query. 3 minutes or less of technical content. You can check out the full playlist as well at the link on the bottom there. And finally, the last thing that we always throw out here is if you'd like to come and actually speak to the meetup group, we would love to have you. Just fill out the little survey at the bottom here. These slides are all uploaded to the meetup site already, so you can grab all the links from that area. But we would love to have you come on our stage and show us the cool things that you're doing with Excel or Power BI or anything that really plugs into the power stack that we actually have working with Microsoft. And on that note, that's what I've got. Carlos, the screen is yours, my friend.
All right. Okay. So I think I have to go ahead with sharing my screen. So let's start with that. And I think, let me know if he's showing up. Let me just hide that.
Yep, I can see your screen. You bet.
Yep. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Let me just now on my other screen just put the chat in case I see any questions. I can grab them and yep. All right, so this presentation is gonna be about tips and tricks, and for the possibility of having interactive charts due to dynamic arrays. Putting unique, the sort by, filter functions into play, and then mapping them to charts in Excel, which is nothing new. It's always been since dynamic arrays been there. But there's a couple of things that I would like to share on this presentation. So let's begin. The TOC, and we can zoom in here. So the very first one is, coloring the background of the cell where you put in your formula, especially if it's going to have a spill range with a light gray. You can choose whatever color you want, but a light gray, I think it's soft into the background. So we'll check out example 23 on here, and I have to just open this, and hopefully, I think as soon as I start opening more Excel files, Excel might get a little bit slow. Hopefully not. So for example, here's one graphic that I did. This is called a dumbbell plot. Right now, clicking on it, and usually the use of this graphic is to kind of like show the gap between two data points. So you say, I have the sales of this year. I want to compare it to prior year. So the blue dots or the darker dots are the current year, 2020. And then the prior year with the light gray is sort of the year prior to that. The cool thing about like this is that usually people want to focus the wider gap. Is they're going to try to, their eye is going to be drawn to that, or also going to be drawn to maybe to the ones that there's no variation as well, and maybe ask, why not, And the practice here that I mentioned is coloring the background where you have your spill range. So in this formula, you can see right there, I'm just gonna zoom in. You can see that, how the mark of a spill range pops up in blue, So now if I were to sort of just color that cell and do F2, you can see that the area of sort of the cell kind of expand itself, And to be honest, I would like to ask the audience if you guys knew if somebody has documented this or maybe blog about it, or because I have tried and research a lot. I'm thinking somebody else noticed this. I noticed this making these charts while I was, playing around with this feature of a dynamic arrays, and I noticed that once I was coloring my spill ranges, just because I wanted to kind of like, the formula doesn't live here; it lives in one place alone on the top. And then I noticed that as soon as I did edit, somebody told me, "Hey, that's so cool! Like the whole color of the formula or the background kind of like expand itself, so it kind of it helps with the contrast. In case if I just switch it to white, which will be sort of the regular standard or default situation, it will look like that. It will kind of like high, but then again, you kind of like you don't know this is like it's hard to see where the formula ends and begins. So the little touch is just to coloring the cell. And if you go with another color, let's say yellow, look, this is what happens. So it does looks, it just, I guess it's a little bit more just it's just more colorful. So that's why I just go with a light gray, and for that is this one right here that I'm using. Ken, when I'm zooming in with Summit, is it also showing up on your side or just on my side?
Yeah, no, it's zooming quite nicely.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back up again and just color it like that. Let me just put the color so people can see, and that's sort of very like a very light gray. And for this, it really helps out with the legibility to read that formula, because the background is dark, and you know that the whole area of the formula is that rectangle right there. So that's sort of the tip, and you will see that in all my sort of all the works that if you download all these graphics, you can do so on they'll from public domain. And really, like, I think if I go to another example, I think right here on this one, and maybe expand this and go to here, you can see as well everything where I have a spill range is basically all grayed up, because as soon as you open that, see, it expands itself, and it's quite in for me it's quite helpful just to like just see where the formula ends, and then just see it more clearly, so you can see the area expands. So if anybody knows, if somebody has already documented, I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's 30 years of Excel, but I've been trying to research and have never found somebody who maybe have noticed this behavior. Have you, Ken, by any chance, or anybody in the crowd trying to check out
I've
the?
I've never seen anybody call it out, Carlos, but the one thing that I really like the idea that it's highlighted, because obviously with the dynamic arrays, I mean, you can't edit the later parts, so you got to edit that one piece. So it's nice to have a sort of a marker there to say this is where the insertion point of the formula is. But at the same time, if you're ever going to print that, you want to turn that off. And I'm assuming that it will work with conditional formatting the same way, right?
I haven't tried out with conditional formatting, but I'm betting it should. It should no problem at all. It just it's really helpful in long formulas that I sort of kind of like put in vertical, just because it's make it easier. And this, VBA, and other languages, and that making legible code is important for one, and also for other ones that might have to check it out. So that's sort of the trick. And maybe I can back up here, maybe open another one just randomly, so you can see maybe one of the recent ones, and do maybe this one right here, and it should open fast. And again, as you can see, all the cells where the that are right here on top are colored. I think right here is just popping on something. So this one has a sort of a not a crazy formula. It looks crazy, but it's very simple. But as you can see, it covers, it goes on top of the chart. So really handy coloring the cell, or where it really works nicely with spill ranges. So let's go with the next one. The next one is pivot table slicers versus data validation. Example 23. Let's see if that we can open it. I'll go back to this one that it was the reference band chart. So this one, oh, it's already open. Okay, so basically, what's my argument here, and sort of that it kind of plays nice, is because you can set up this is just basically pivot table slicers. that are connected to a pivot table, which is maybe one of these in these ones. Um, and basically, you can do this same effect with the data validation. Of course, you can. But the thing is that data validation will require 2 clicks. First, to click on the data validation and then open the data validation, and a second click to choose the selection that you want. As opposed with the pivot table slicer, I can just maybe just select which one that I want. It's just 1 click. So from the UX point of view, it's just more accessible. It's easier. It's one step less for the user to click. Just 1 click, they get the action that they're looking for. So the cool thing is that yes, you can combine the dynamic arrays. I see Minda Tracy on her dashboard workshops where she uses this trick of making interactive using the slicers, connecting 2 pivot tables being connected to a slicer. But for the purpose of dynamic arrays, you can sort of connect one sort of backbone formula. I call this term. It kind of um, came with it and say you just need to make one formula, okay, where you pull all the logics, all the intricacies, the inner workings, and then the other arrays will depend into that. So that's why I named it the backbone formula. So now, as you can see here on this one, on the counties, they're connected to cell G51, and that G51, I'm pretty sure that is a pivot table. So maybe I'll go back here. G51 is over here, and it's on top here. So yeah, it's not directly to the pivot table, but this cell is connected to the pivot table. So whenever the user maybe says, hey, count A if it's equals to 4, then do this action, no filters, without filters, else proceed with what's being selected by the users. So this little section right here is a pivot table. So again, kind of combining features of Excel to sort of pull a hack. And my argument against data validation, not being a hater or anything, is just that it's one step less or 1 click less to do. I don't know if somebody has a question, and I think there's a question here. Oh, your comment. Win says that it works with conditional formatting. Oh, nice. Thank you, Win. Also, Ken, you commented, yep, just technical stuff as you can set up. Oh, nice, nice. Yes, and it allows you to toggle the print mode. So I never had to deal with the printing phase. To be quite honest, I never had to print these sort of things, but good to know that, okay, that I have to take that into account. So thank you, Ken. All right, so let's go to the third trick. Oh, this one, okay. And we have a special somebody here called Eric. He's from Alabama, I believe. And ever since I came up with all enter space bar, I even suggest this to sometimes to Mike Gervin from Excel is Fun. And yeah, he still doesn't like grab it or grasp it. He still likes just doing all enter. But before, he will make all these long formulas on his YouTube tutorials that you will get it as soon as you're watching the video. But then when you go and review it, it's just a big paragraph, and you're like, okay, where does this formula begins to operate? So all enter space bars is to really make formulas to be legible. So let's go to example 26, because we already have 23 open, and you already kind of saw it a little bit. I'll go back to it again. On this one is an exercise from Storytelling with Data website where can you make another version of this? And I did, which is called the 3-year directional trend. I learned this from, I believe, from John Walkenbeck. He published a book about this technique, and it's quite cool. Like, what you have essentially doing is, hey, instead of in the original example, you're plotting each year. Okay, maybe I'll put it here. You're plotting each year, 21, 2020, and then 2019. And on the x-axis, you have the month. So, okay, so what is the difference with the 3-year? Is that, how about if you do the average of this line, the average of this line, then the monthly average of this line, put them right next to each other, and then you also do the average of the last 6 months, the last 3 months, the last month, and then the current month. So John Welcomeback, he wrote in his book that sort of technique, and this is kind of the result. You're seeing the average of 2019, 2020, 21, the last 6 months, the last three, and previous month, and then eventually you get this sort of directional trend that kind of tells you in a more simple way, hey, sales or your metric is trending up. It's another way of visualizing the data. So I also did it with dynamic arrays. I think I did have to admit I struggle a little bit just because of that formula right there, maybe, and some other ones too. I think maybe this one too, because I think this one makes it with the whole labels. But then again, if I were not to use all enter spacebar, and I'll take my friend Eric gave me this shirt right here that it says, hopefully if you can guys read it, it says spreadsheet formulas are, yeah, it's a spreadsheet mantra that says happy formulas are all enter spacebar, and this is the example. You've seen a formula there that might seem complex. It is not, it just seems it's verbose, but it's not. It's actually a bunch of conditional, making it simpler with switch through and a little bit with if. But the all enter space bar, I have to kind of like the sort of I found it that it's tedious for people to, okay, all enter, I'll put it into another next line, but then you're telling me with space bar, I have to press space bar until you indent it. Yeah, it's the only negative. People are, they don't find it intuitive, or they just don't find it like, oh yeah, I'm just not gonna put the time. But I will argue or suggest that if you do pay if you do put the time, eventually when you go back to your formula, and if you find it like this, I believe it might be easier to read it rather than a big paragraph all into one place. One long paragraph that is harder to read. That's the formula right there. And I think there's another formula here that is also, as you can see, all enter spacebar. Now, there is a feature called Excel Labs that automatically, if you put like a whole paragraph formula, it will indent it automatically. The only negative that I have saw is like if you cannot translate that formatting into the cell. So that's the only negative. Like you have to depend on the Excel Labs feature in order to indent the formula. And I think I want to just steal this phrase from Marco Ferrari and Alberto Ferrari, Marco Russo, guys from SQL BI, that if DAX is not formatted, it's not DAX. Well, I think with Excel formulas, they should be at least, legible. So one way is through all enter spacebar, or you can use the Excel Lab, but then again, you have to work with that to get it. So any questions until, let me see if I see a couple of comments. Working in accounting, you can get accountants to stop printing. Yeah, it's worth the time and headache. You will save yourself trying to troubleshoot. Yes, definitely, big time. And I think on example 23, there's also, as you can see, it's all, all this again. I'm just gonna backspace a little bit. I have to do all enter and then spacebar. You can hear me pressing spacebar, a couple of times until I get it indented. At the beginning it's a bit weird, I'll be honest. But once you start getting into the habit, then you write formulas and then the spacebar, or just press and hold it until you see indented, and it just becomes a habit. For me, it is just because I know sometimes that I have to go back to formulas that sometimes they need a change, or they want to add a new condition. And I just leave them already like that. Okay, so we can go to the fourth one. Adjusting the metrics for a common magnitude range for a uniform y-axis. Okay, yeah, this one is like, what the hell? Okay, what do you mean by that? So let's go to example 13. This is kind of useful. It does gets you into trouble, especially for like newbie analysts, that they don't know this, and usually they get called by an expert or a data visualization guru that, hey, that's not fair. And what's happening here is small multiples I'm just using the step effect, which it's nice that in Power BI, with just a toggle you get this effect, because else you will have just a basic line chart like that, which is fine. But if you wanted to have that step effect, like so you can see the drops or ups more pronounced, then the step chart makes that effect, visually. Now, if you pay attention to the y-axis of each individual chart, I'm already playing with fire because this is going from 70 to 0. This one is going from 9 to 0. This one is going 18 to 0. So kind of like what the recommendation is, be careful with this. I mean, you can do it, but be careful, like, because you can deceive the audience. And again, that's sinful. So what we can do is make it all those y-axis to be into the same range. So for that, I did include it right here. Have charts share the same axis. You have this feature also in Power BI. I'm glad that it just came out very recently. And now see, a couple of lines get kind of flattened. That happens with the right here, with this one as well, and also this one. But now you can fairly see that everything is on the same axis. I'm not sure if I have the original chart. The original chart is this, which is coming from our world in data. I just wanted to separate each individual line and have the possibility of kind of breaking the axis. So as you can see here, I activate it, deactivate it, activate it, and deactivate it. And the reason for this is just that I know that, okay, Asia is like dropping down, but then I have the Middle East and North Africa, and okay, it's on 2, go from 10 to 2, but then I kind of like want to zoom in a little bit. Okay, so let's just break the axis, and then we can see, okay, more precisely between 8 and 9, and then, clearly more sort of the kind of lowering steps, of the graph. So how do you, I mean, explaining this into details takes time, but it's possible with dynamic arrays, because with dynamic arrays, I sort of introduce a maximum into all of those charts to sort of say what's the maximum value. In this case, it will be coming from East Asia, and probably is pulling this data, I'm pretty sure, at that point, and it kind of induces it once I activate that option. I seen this explained by John Peltier recently in I believe in the Excel London group, where I actually learned it, and I got inspired from that trick, because these are all different charts. It's not one chart, unfortunately, but it's just different charts, and they all sharing one. As you can see, the same axis Y metric, which is coming from AO17. If we can go to that. Basically, there's probably a formula right there. It's just most probably an if statement. Right here, 17, right there. So let's zoom in. So basically, if that's true, then round max of the shares plus 10. So I can give it a little space to breathe out. Else go NA. So it just disappear. You don't plot the NAs, and I think that's gonna come up as trick there. Yes. Cool feature for Excel, especially if you're doing a couple of various charts of the same data, and you want to switch between the axis, breaking it, or having having the same y-axis or not. Let me see. I'll go another one here. So 5. So customizing the axis customizing the axis with concatenations. Example 19, 20, and 22 and 24. I just opened those. There we go. So 2022 vertical Pareto. Oh, okay. So this one is also, I have to say, this one is also inspired by John Peltier, because he's one of the few, I think maybe the only one who has documented in Excel about the possibility of inverting the classical Pareto, instead of having it horizontally, having it vertically. And you can see right here that, look at the axis. I'm plotting the share of the state, 19%, and then on the bar is the numeric number, 2.1, and then 1.7 million of prisoners for China. And then how was that I mean, what's that in compared to the total of all those countries? So that's 15%. So the trick here is that you can do that to charts. You can concatenate text with a numeric, and then you can also format that numeric. You can add with the text formula. You can make it a percentage. You can make it a billions, millions, or thousands. So that's pretty much the trick there. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the sort of right there, that's your formula. Very easy. Concatenate. I'm concatenating this array, which is a spill range. You can see the hashtag here, and then with the two dots or semicolon with text. And then on text, I'm including that format, the 0.0 percentage. So one decimal. So that way, at least you can see 1.4, 2.0, 2.2, and all that. And it goes all the way down. So that's the trick. And I think I left also, that's 22. Let's go to 24. All those tricks that I'm sharing you, there are sort of all in all my work. I started noticing this, noticing that, this is kind of like a pattern that I do. Also here, you can see I'm putting here sort of what's kind of like the variation between the gap. So right here, I'm indicating to the user, that variation is 21%. And you can also switch it, and I believe, if you want it to be absolute or relative. So in this case, I just switch it to be absolute, and right now this value is about 64, and this one should be about 84. Yep. And the difference between this is 20. So what I'm doing here eventually is I'm just helping the audience to sort of, or maybe I'm also helping myself to say, in case they ask me, I already have the answer on display. So you can concatenate the axis. What I'm trying to say also here is that you can take advantage of the axis to sort of add another metric to help you with your visualization. So that's sort of the possibility there. And I think I may have another example, which is 19. Is 19 open? Adjustable bins. This one is also, this one is going to be horizontal. This one was interesting too. Usually with the bin size for distributions, you kind of do it arbitrarily, but you can also do it statistically. In this case, I wanted to put 40 to 44. And the way to get this, as you can see, I'm clicking right now the element of the axis. Again, is concatenating. So it's right here. Let's just zoom in. And maybe I'll show you an example here. I don't have a color, so I'm apologizing for that. I'm about to see. It's kind of hard to read the chart. You seeing this and seeing this. So I'm just gonna color it. And if somebody knows if somebody has documented this, I will definitely appreciate. So I'm just gonna open it. Yep. And now you can see the at least the background there. And what I do with concatenation, so if I'm using the ampersand, I'm gonna do Alt Enter and spacebar, and then go to the next ampersand, Alt Enter, spacebar, Alt Enter, spacebar. So I do the Alt Enter at each ampersand just to make the formula vertical. So a little bit going, yeah. So now you can see it's more of a square, but at least I know, okay, I'm concatenating spill range of S18, character 10 to do break lines, 2, another break line with character 10, and then doing with the upper -1. So that way I can get 0 to 4, 0 to 5. And you can see there, as a result, it looks like everything is as much. But once you plot it, it actually plots the break line. So as you can see right there, that's the x-axis. This example was interesting because, again, you can go statistical about choosing what bin size I want for my distribution. There are many rules. The ones that I was able to pull out, to be quite honest, was rise and sturge, which if you want, I'm not sure if I left documentation here. I did left it in the comment. If you download this, you will find documentation about those rules, which is interesting because it does help you to sort of say, hey, if I wanna leave statistics to choose the bin size of my distribution, then you can do rise or sturge and see how it plays out. Or again, you can switch between arbitrarily to see if you want 10, 15, or maybe 20 or 5, even do 1, 1. Yeah, it looks like that, more grainy. but I guess maybe I actually want to do rice. As you can see, the change is not that much. If you do sturge, maybe it does switch a little bit. So quite cool. I mean, the formula here, I believe, if not mistaken, it all depends. It's quite. I mean, this one wasn't hard to build. I think it was sort of indenting or putting some sort of logic here of sort of the formula, which is this part right here, 1.6 power to the to the number of deviations by a third, and rounding it, and then that's your formula. And then bonus trick, you can add comments. I mean, it's not the best practice, to be quite honest, but with the end function, you can add comments. If you use plus and then into quotes put the text, Excel will consider it as a zero. So it doesn't affect you if you're working with numbers. You're adding a zero, you're adding nothing. So you can add the comment there. And that's what I did in order to just tell. And you can see here I'm breaking my tip number 1, which is coloring. So let's color this. I'm not surprised that I have not colored this one. Okay, so now open it. Better. Okay, so as you can see now, the area is more pronounced. And again, I'm choosing choose, and I break each individual argument, value 1, value 2, value 3, and then I'm adding what is this formula. This is a sturge rule, and then the second one is rice rule, or by the adjusting range, which is sort of you choose what bin size you want. Right. So let's go to another one. Let is more. Like less is more. I know Os du Soleil doesn't like this phrase. I'm always joking with him about it. But no, I mean, with LED, what we're aiming is to reduce redundancy, to reduce a formula or a part of a formula that is going to be repeated again and again and again. And if that part is too long, then you can just make it into a variable and then use the variable into your formula with the let function. So example 23 and 25, I think I have 23 open. And here, again, you've seen this formula already. Here I'm first coming with a logic here with an if statement for counties. And then I'm using counties here again, and also here. Okay, and also here again, as you can see right here a couple of times. So that way I don't have to use this piece of formula again and again and again, because it will make the formula first longer and redundant. So the let function, I really believe that, I think this the first function that everybody should learn if they're going into Excel, because it's really awesome. It's really awesome to make formulas that are more legible, more accessible, shorter, and also at the end comprehensible for anybody too. So yeah, I think that's one. So I'm just gonna back up now. I think number 25 is 25 open. Let's see distribution plots. This one was also fun. We're just plotting distributions, but we're using the barcode. We're using histogram or the straight plot. Let's add jitter to that, so that way it looks a little bit cooler. There you go. Maybe leave it like that, but maybe just do week 1/6, and then the box plot. So again, here the backbone formula for all of this is 1, but then again, this one does look a little bit messy, but again, I'm putting my array, my just sales, retail selection, any week, any retail, and all of those I'm putting into variables, and then those variables I'm gonna use it into the formulas on the bottom. So it really makes your formula again shorter and more legible. So you can see it there, you can see here, you can see here. So it's quite cool. The only negative, and this is the caveat, is that sometimes it's hard to debug, because you cannot just, not to my knowledge, you cannot just highlight this, or maybe you can. I haven't checked that. No, yeah, see the, you saw that right there? I think if I go right here and do, well, there's like a name there popping up, like hashtag name. You cannot say what's the result, unfortunately. So what you can do is maybe you can call this variable kind of like what you do with variables in DAX with Power BI, return bar variable return, and then you can debug like that. It is one way, but unfortunately, if you already have to know a little bit that kind of like the expected results that already should be happening in your formula. Else, you just gotta bring this into another cell and start to debug. I think there's a couple of new messages here, and I'm just gonna pause and maybe ask if anybody has any questions or any comments. Definitely love to answer them. That needs to be a friend in the art gallery. Thanks, Eric. Okay, so let's continue. Number 6. Group columns, don't hide them. Yeah, this applies to I mean, in general, to any work that you do in Excel. Try not to hide columns. Actually group them, and I'll show you why. And when you're working with charts, you need to add the show data in rows. Okay, this feature right here. That's what you need to activate. And I'll show you where. I think I put my comment is check out example 1, the advanced version, and then 28. So I believe one advanced version is already open, which is this one. And so you can see right here, look that I have a couple of columns. You can see right here on this section, look at that. So I'm grouping the columns instead of hiding them. The cool thing is that if you want, you can do Control-Shift-A, and then it should hide all those formulas. Oh, it's not working. Oh, okay, so it's Control-A as a number 8. So you can make disappear that, okay, or you can make it appear with Control-8. And the reason for this is because you can get to a point where you can actually present this into sort of mocking PowerPoint. So let's do Control-A and then Control-Shift F1, and then maybe I'll do Control-Shift-1 again because I'll make my formula bar and my headings disappear and do Control-Shift-1. And as you can see, I have kind of like removed as much as possible the upper ribbon of Excel. So that way, if I'm presenting, people can just maybe focus on the graphic and not on the buttons, all the buttons that we have for Excel. And again, I can present the graphic and say, this is how our sales were in 2014. This is how it progressed into 2015, and then you can continue your discussion, your storytelling technique, and then move the graph as you go forward with it. And again, this is all with dynamic arrays. Say that maybe you want to play around with fixing maybe the y-axis. Again, a technique that I learned from John Peltier. You can see like the interaction is different. Here is just. It's a different visualization or interaction. And now what I'm gonna fix is also the length of the x-axis. So I'm gonna go back to 2014 and I'm gonna click fix. And now, as again, the consumption of the graphic is different from the other two. Which one you like the most? Depends, it really depends on people. I actually like this one. I don't know, maybe because I have the expectation that we're gonna get to maybe sales of 500, or maybe not, but at least, I don't know. It's this one. If I lose it up, it's just like, look at it, like 2015, it's not bad, but it's just like you lose your frame of the axis, So again, for this, I'm gonna Control-A. The trick here that I did, it was grouping these columns. So again, if you click right here on number 1 or 2, you can collapse the whole thing with just clicking 1, or you can just click 2 to open all the whole thing. And this is gonna be my way of sort of reorganizing work like this, because what I was trying to do here is like I wanted to have it all in one place so people can do the front end and the back end. The back end being the formulas, and then the front end being the charts and the formulas being the back end, all in one place, so people can kind of like check the this example. But if I were to do it for like maybe do for a client, I will make it more organized and do maybe everything in columns or in sections. So this way I'm doing here, this section one, the data, and then as I move to the right, I'm having the calculations, the pivot tables, then sort of a couple of custom arrays, then the calculations for all of this, and then the custom comments for this. And then a couple of more other calculations more to the right, and then eventually I get to my chart. And the person who might receive these, they don't have to see all these sort of calculations, so you hide them. But the way to hide them is to sort of group them with the grouping feature right here, this one on the data tab. Okay, try to do that. Try not to hide, because hide, the only reason is that it's hard to tell with your eye that there's column hidden between these two. And with grouping them, you at least get the button and this space that tells you, hey, there's a couple of columns hidden here that are grouped. And that's my argument there. But once you kind of do this technique in Excel, you have to go select data on the chart, and you have to go to this option that it says hidden and empty cells. You click on that, and then once you click on that, not sure why that's not popping up. Let's see. Okay, there we go. And go back and zoom. You have to activate this, because by default, this is going to be disactivated. You have to activate it for this to combine the features of Excel. Click OK. And now, again, once you group this, you have your chart right there all in one place, kind of like a little bit of a dashboard, if you will. And again, that's the trick with grouping columns. Control 8, yes, can pulse, yeah. Will be short. Would sure be nice to able to configure the default to. Yeah, definitely, definitely that would be nice. But it's not a feature on the advanced section of the options of Excel, or not that I know of. Okay, let's continue. Okay, I think work with tables and not ranges. Yes, for interactive charts, and really work. Try to avoid ranges. To be quite honest, just do tables, because, and I'll show you the advanced version of one. Let's go back to it. As you can see right here, there's a couple of years that are graded out. I'm gonna actually open Control 8. Actually, formula bar and headings. Control 8. Okay, open that, and I'm gonna add new data. This data right here, and immediately it should work. So let's just remove this text box. Include this. Again, tables. I want you to think of, if you don't know this metaphor or analogy, think of them as a container, and that you can put reference this container into formulas, into pivot tables, and as soon as this container grows, everything else will carry on. So in this case, what I'm gonna do is gonna grab this new data, okay? And all this data is real from Amazon. I got it from their website. I'm just gonna do this click and drop, and as soon as I put it right beneath the table is gonna expand. Now check this out. You can see that the years are here sorted, 2014, and then to 21, but then it jumps to 26. And then here is sorted. So I believe here I had to this is a bit of an unintuitive formula, but it works. Is to sort of say, hey, in case the data from the table or from the range is not gonna be organized or sorted, I'm gonna use this formula to sort it. So that's what's happening here. But now with bstack, the function bstack, now this is way easier. You can just do unique of those items and then just concatenate it with field that you want. So this was my bit of a hack to sort of do this trick. And I learned this one from Mike Gervin, if I don't believe that he showed an example where if you want to add an item that doesn't exist in your data, you can indent it as a last item. Okay, so I added that. Now what I'm gonna do is maybe I'll refresh the workbook, refresh all. And now as you can see, I have the possibility of going to 26, and let's just close this and do from 2011, 2013, and now maybe I'm gonna fix this and fix this and do 2014, 2015, 2016. So I didn't have to do anything. I just had to put the data right below the table if you have it like that, or maybe if it comes from a Power Query, even better. And then just refresh your workbook, and that's it. You already have your everything will update accordingly, because the formula with spill ranges are all referenced to work. If I'm not mistaken, the very first one here is all connected to the table. So at the table, like a container, if the container grows, all these formulas will carry on. And that's sort of the tip in this one, not a trick, but a tip, because even to this day, you will be amazed that a lot of people that use Excel are unaware of tables, and which is quite a pity, because they're nice, but they also have their they have their pitfalls. But I for the benefits outweigh the pitfalls, really outweigh them, like exponentially. Is there any other one from this one? Not tables? Yep, no, that one. I think I see your comment here, Ken. Just 1 second, guys. Here. See? Oh, okay. One second, guys. Sí, qué raro, ¿no? Pero yo no la dejé abierta. Qué raro. Okay, sorry guys. So yes, my wife got from work. Okay, so NA is your friend. That should be corrected to be is your friend, not imperial. And then sorry VLOOKUP fans, because I know they don't love the NAs on their VLOOKUP results. So the reason for this is that NA with charts is amazing. You sort of faking that you're plotting data, but you're not. If you do zeros, zeros will be plotted. So NAs is that your solution. So let's go to number 7, because I think it was one of the very first ones that I did. It was inspired by the work of Jorge Camoes. He did this chart back a while back of the military expenditure with the number of troops. And you can see a lot of NAs, and a lot of people have told me, "Oh, hide those, you know, they're ugly, they're ugly." And I know, but the thing is that they're necessary in order to pull this one, because what I'm using here is different arrays to sort of get the effect of the color of the line, and the line is related to the political party in the states. So maybe I can plot with this, play around with this one right here with you guys, and I believe, how did I do this? Okay, so maybe, what do we do this? Maybe let's just bring this here. As you can see, I'm just gonna increase this parameter. And again, you can see it's a connected scatter plot, not a very intuitive chart. But once you know how to read them, they're nice. In this case, we can see that the line is now going up, and it's telling you that the number of troops of the U.S. have remained the same, or they haven't changed. Yet the expenditure of the military has like gone from about, you know, a bit over 320 maybe, all the way to already to over 500, you know. And if it keeps going up and up and up, even into the government of Obama, it did went up onto surpassing 700, you know. So, and then you still had the same number of troops, but then, you know, I think I did try to update it all the way until I think including Trump, if I'm not mistaken. And then it did decrease a little bit, but still you have less troops. So yeah, a lot of conclusions can be made from the chart. But then again, the NAs is necessary to pull this one because they're not being plotted. Okay. And if you click on this, you can see that each array from the chart is coming from this one on the left side. But I'm using the NA to sort of how do you trick Excel to plot them. Just that part of the lines and not the NAs. Is there any other one example? Is the 20? And do I have 20 open? Let's see. The offset graph. Oh, this one was nice too. Because usually Here's the example. This one is a bit hard to explain. Even for me, it takes me a while to sometimes grasp it because I forget that is your what you're seeing is a more flexible version of a Venn diagram, and I can show you here. Usually, you will kind of like see a Venn diagram and see all the possible connections or subsets of between group of data. But the Venn diagram works very good if you have maybe up to 4. But what happens if you want to combine 10 sets, or even just 5? Because that's where Venn diagram starts to get a little bit more troublesome. Well, the offset graph allows you to have all the, as much as you want. So that's what I had here. That was the inspiration. Saw this from a Tableau, from the Tableau community. And eventually, how do you get this effect? With the scatter plot, just one chart, just one. But in order to kind of use the NA sort of, help me to plot the array, but not just plot these values, not the NAs. The NAs are sort of being there in invisible mode. So that's kind of the trick. Okay. So what I'm trying to say again, the NAs, just be open to them when with charts because they're very useful. But I know I know they don't have a nice aesthetic from the spreadsheet perspective. All right, so number 10, adding images to markers. Yes, this is possible. I discovered this playing around with this example, number 8 and 10. And you can also do custom shapes. It doesn't have to be an image. So if we go now, number 8, I open 9. But let's just go to number 8, and well done. Oh, you can do. Oh, yes. Oh, that's a good one. Thank you, Winston. So using conditional format to making the NAs gray. Okay, yeah, definitely. I'm gonna. Oh, I know why I don't do that. The thing is that conditional formatting to this day, and correct me if I'm wrong, they don't work with spill ranges yet. I hope that changes in the future. That you can sort of map into a conditional formatting in the conditional formatting window a defined name. You can put there a defined name, but to my knowledge, you still can't. So that's why I don't do it because all these sort of workouts depends. They're like flexible. If that you have new data, they will grow up. Then you have to go back to the conditional formatting and adjust them manually. But still, great suggestion because I think it's one of the ones if they connect the two that you can reference spill ranges into conditional formatting. So here, as you can see, what you see is the images of the presidents of the U.S., but those are markers. It's just a series on the back that is actually very low. It's about 250,000, and what it's just straight line. But I know the position where to put him. That I think that is a bit manual. But what I did is that you can plot you can plot these, and the images you need to first get them. I got them from Wikipedia, okay, and then brought into a smaller size, all to be the same size. And then once you have the marker, for example here, you can see I'm clicking all the markers of the line, and if I click again, I select one. So now what I can do if I want, so I can grab this picture, Control C, okay, and then click on the marker wherever you want to put it. Maybe I want to put in this part of the line. Click it again, and then Control V. So it's a cheap trick, but I mean, it's kind of cool because people have told me that even though maybe you see all this color making it makes visual noise, or it doesn't add anything. For some other people emotionally it does, maybe the political affiliation, but at least they know, okay, that was a Republican government in that era, and then Obama came into play, then Trump came, and before that being Clinton. But you can see the line, if the line of if the trend of the line was flat or down, or maybe it went up, like what happened with Bush, and then Obama, and then it went down and it started going up again. So those sort of details, they could be helpful. Might be considered chart junk, but might not for some other people. So know your audience, know your data. You can also be open with any shape. So let's go to 17. This one was sort of another example where, again, we want to do the unit chart. I mean, the waffle chart, which is this one. And again, if you wanted to sort of maybe do 35%, I think it's being random. So let's do increments. So now I can just do, it's going a little bit slow because probably I have too many workbooks open. You can also do random. So again, what I'm plotting here with the dynamic arrays, and this is the beauty of them, is that I'm plotting each individual square by a function that right now, okay, it takes time to explain it, but using the mod and the sequence, I did explain a little bit of this in another talk that I did for the London Excel group about interactive charts. And sequence is sacrosanct with this stuff because you can make an array and then adjust the array. Mod function plays into place because then you can do subsets, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or some sort of jazz like that. And that's what I'm doing here. So this array, if we go and do how big is this array? Well, it goes up to row 116, so it's not that big. But I'm plotting that. And again, I grab the shape, and then I click on the marker, and then just Control C, Control V, and you can add any custom shape that you want. So really, you can just go Insert, go to Shape, and you can add any of these as markers if you wanted to. Just be careful with it. Don't go extreme and make it too that it becomes chart junk. You want to at least be useful for your graphic. Oh, John is here. Okay, John. Sorry, hi. You say use a shape for bubble charts, and for bubble charts and markers, and the shape of resize based on the bubble size. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yep. I haven't played with that one too, but I think that has potential for the isograms, I think, or isotopes. It's a type of graph where you use icons to sort of plot sort of your data. I think that I do see potential with that. Let's see number 11. So we got five more. Direct labeling at the end. The iris consumption example number 9. So we already have it open. So this is the example from Tableau. The only reason I didn't like it, and I'm not a fan of a stack bar charts, is because the only stack that you can really compare intuitively is the upper and the bottom. The only ones, because they are starting from the same baselines, and the ones in the middle is very hard to compare. So when it comes to sort of stacks, and you're dealing with participation share or percentage, what you can do is actually use the line chart, and then eventually, if you want to see and look for trends instead of the composition, or maybe both, maybe you can put it right next to each other. But in this case, the original chart was vertical, and this is becoming a trend. Just to also share a comment on this, because of cell phones, because of people are consuming content in a vertical way. Now line charts or even charts like this are becoming vertical, where the most recent year is on the bottom and the most earliest year on the top. As you can see right there, 1990 is on top, and then it goes all the way down. And it's a new way. It's kind of really shaping a new way of consumption of graphics. Some people don't find it intuitive because really we're accustomed to read from left to right. So it's still taking time, but I'm seeing it more and more and often. Yeah, John, you're right. I mean, yep. I'm there with you, but sometimes you see it from the Wall Street Graphics and the New York Times and Washington Post and even the Financial Times, and they take that bet, and some people get it, some other people, they complain. So for this one, what I'm doing is that I'm using the marker right here. So I'm using direct labeling for this, and I learned this one from Minda Tracy a while back. She kind of used tables for that, and eventually you plug your data, but then you use another array, and you basically you do an if statement to say, hey, if you get to the max of the years, then plot that and grab that. So that's why you get the NAs, but I get the 44. And again, with that, I'm labeling the last part. So if I were to just go let's do 1 here and then increase this, you can see the label moves with it and adapts to it because again, the if statement is grabbing the max year. So it's a nice feature. It's still not labeling because this one is gonna label once I get to the top to the last one, and my computer is going slow probably because I got too many workbooks open. But then that's the technique. I'm labeling on the last point, but I'm also labeling the lines instead of using a legend. It's it's really recommended practice to label that because people doesn't have to scan the legend and scan the line, correlate the name of the legend to the color of the line. If you can put it right next to each other, they immediately see that line is United States, that line is Ireland, and that line is other countries. Let's go to number 12. One array, many lines. Okay, this one I did explain it in detail in the couple of weeks ago. Go to Computer Gaga YouTube channel, and you will see I'm going deep on this one. That you can use one array, many lines. Maybe we can go to the cycle plot because eventually I realized that I was doing that, but then I didn't realize that I was getting that effect with other charts, which I wish in Power BI we can have that option of plotting many lines and just with conditional formatting color them as we want, but still not possible. But here's what I'm doing again. One array, it's going 1 through all the way into 157. And then another array, which is going 1 through 12, 0 through 12, 0 through 12, 0 through 12. And then again with the index, I believe, or min, I sort of get the sort of what's the year for this, and then the month and all that. So that effect, eventually with dynamic arrays, is you can do cycle plots in a much, I guess, in a simpler way because I've seen other examples where it gets more of putting more columns and yeah. And if you have more years, then you have to adapt it manually. Or maybe you can have VBA for that too. But with dynamic arrays, it's just one array, and then all the arrays are depending on that one. So this one again could be another of a backbone formula because you just need that formula and that logic there. Sorry that it's a little bit wow, but it's like it's kind of a bit not intuitive. I apologize for that, but yeah, you do get the effect. So one array, many lines. And I have another example very recently, which is this one right here, highlighting lines. And for that, we'll see if my Excel crashes. Again, another tip, try to go to the websites where they offer these kind of visualizations where you can play around with them and you can get the data and then try to replicate them in Excel. It really will help you hone your skills with charts. Really just try to emulate what they did, each individual detail that they do, and definitely will help you out. You get better in Excel and then also get better with charts. So these, again, I'm doing it in a different way, but you can see here I'm plotting many lines, and that array alone, if I'm not mistaken, is quite large. If I'm not mistaken, see the data originally is already 3,481, but that array alone, because I'm plotting many lines, goes all the way to 5,000. 5,000. So for the example that I did for the Excel London Excel meetup group, it went all the way up to 33,000 one array. With that array, I was plotting many lines. I was replicating an example from Jorge Camoes' book of unemployment in the European Union. For this one again, you can do the same. So dynamic arrays really offer that possibility to have many lines and one chart, and then you can customize which line you want to highlight, and then the other line serves as context. I think there's one last comment. I think got that from me. Yeah, probably John. Probably I think we definitely you're like the Da Vinci of charts, and really thank you for all the documentation and all the posts that you have left on your blog. If we all know charts is because of you, so thank you. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. How about if it ain't crash, you ain't working hard enough? Yeah, yeah. Well, I already have many books open, so and many of them have a couple of calculations that I know that might be intensive for Excel. So normalizing the y-axis for all charts, having the so I'm repeating myself. Oh, my bad. No way. It's not adjusting the metrics from a common magnitude range. Yep. And normalizing the y-axis for all charts having the 13. Oh, so I apologize for this. I repeated one trick. Huh. Didn't notice that. I didn't notice that. So my apologies. So let's go to number 14. Highlight the items of the axis. Okay, this one was quite interesting. This is sort of the examples where you get into a question to say, hey, how about if if you highlight this, how about if I also highlighting the items? So what this graphic is showing is, say that you have a couple of products and they have life cycles. You want to compare the life cycles of all of them. So maybe one product has lasted 10 years, another one maybe 2 years, and another one lasted maybe 4 years. But they have maybe potentially have, I mean, for example, in this case, you see in item B is one of the ones that started right here on year one, from when the company started, right? Uh, is how do you highlight those? Because those are the axis. Well, what you're using is sort of the labels of those dots and then going on top of the axis. Well, actually, quite honestly, is you're plotting. You actually take out the axis, you put it in blank, and then you replot. This being also documented by John too, to sort of have custom axis. So eventually, what you do is pretty much you click here, and then plot all those values that are gonna be your vertical axis. Plot the labels, and then that's what you have here, and then have another array, which is the yellow one, which is gonna be the one plotting the labels that I'm having here. And with that is how that you get this effect of the Excel is going really slow. So here I'm just okay. Let's do this. Okay, so as you can see, I'm highlighting one. Okay, and then it's telling me, okay, which product. I'm sort of using highlighting or the brushing effect, what they call in data visualization, to sort of help the audience say, hey, on year one, item B is our first product, and then 2 years later, we started with item A, So you go here and go on to one more, I believe, and click it there. And now item A, I went too fast. Go one back, and it should highlight. Okay, and it highlighted, as you can see. But the cool thing is, like, sometimes and this happened to me in a real case, is that somebody asked me, can you tell me which products are the ones that are like phasing out? Because I'm worried that we might have more products phasing out than phasing in, or like new products. And this guy was telling me there's a percentage they always have to respect, that they cannot phase out more than 50% of their products. If they don't have phase in of new products coming in, else there will be their portfolio mix that will get messed up and all that. But the graphic kind of helps, so because he wanted to see which products were ending and which ones were continuing, and then have him highlighted so he can help him. So the idea was sort of born from that, and that's why I made this example, because I mean, the possibilities there. Again, with dynamic arrays, as you can see, all these right here, and that's sort of the trick there. Last one, and I apologize for this. I really didn't notice this. Adding the all item, and I think we touched this a bit of on your selection. Here, I'm gonna go to number 15. So yeah, which is this one already, just to end. And what happened is that I'm adding the category. As you can see, the all item doesn't exist here. So what you can do with dynamic arrays, and a little bit of this formula right here that I also learned from Mike Irvin from that YouTube video, is that you can add an all selection into it. The logic will be a sequence of count A plus 1 if or greater than count A of those unique items. If that's true, all, and then the unique. And surprisingly, what's interesting is that it's sort of like that you're concatenating these two things. And for me, it took me a while to sort of grasp it because I was like, well, how's that possible? But now, if you want it more intuitive with bstack, the function bstack, this one right here, I believe it's easier because you can just do bstack right here. Thanks. You can just do it like this. So let's just put it right here and do bstack, then control enter, then do category so I can get the header, and then all enter, spacebar, then unique of this. Too fast. And then control spacebar, then comma, and then the last one will be your all. So way more simpler than the other one. So again, there you go. And there you have it. Same way, different ways of doing something in Excel. So we know that's a classical thing. Which one do you prefer? I will definitely opt for this one. It's simpler. But again, some people don't have bstack. If they don't have bstack, okay. So then your other option is this one right here, just in case if they don't have that function. And with that, that's some sort of the tips and tricks that I share with you guys. I think really, really kind of sad that I copied one. I didn't notice this, and this is all of them in one place. I can share this. I don't know how you want to share it, Ken. I'll send it to you, and you can send it to people so they can see all of them put into one place. And that's it for me. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Carlos. And yeah, if you can send me the link, we'll just post it on the Meetup site, and then people can download it from there. And then yeah, no worries. And dude, like, no worries about missing, counting on one, or duplicating. We're not going to fire you. We're going to, it's okay. We've never fired anybody from this stuff yet, and don't plan to do it today. So it's awesome. It's great tips and tricks along the way there. That's fun. But so here, funny thing, because John showed up to the meetup a little bit late, and like, we're no word of a lie here. John showed up, and about 30 seconds after that, he said, "I learned this from John for the first time." So since neither of you realized what that transition was, that was just very, very funny. So
the first 2 minutes I was on, I think he mentioned my name 3 times for different stuff.
Exactly.
Like, okay, well, why aren't I doing this talk?
Yeah, just the timing was hilarious. So there you go. Awesome. All right. So, is there any questions at all from the floor before we wrap it up for today? I guess is the one big sort of question that's out there hanging. I see a lot of comments, or see a couple of comments on cool techniques. So, and I definitely learned a couple of things. Like, I don't think I've ever hit the Control H shortcut in my life.
Control H. Or
no, eight. Yeah, for hiding the never. I don't know. I usually learn about keyboard shortcuts. Right? I usually learn about them as soon as I repurpose them for something else. I'm like, I'm going to try this one. I better just check it before I go and actually write the code to override it, right? So.
And there'll be one guy that uses it, and you can't repurpose it.
Yeah.
You've seen my inbox for Monkey Tools, have you?
I got my own inbox, Ken. I know how that
works. Yes, exactly. Awesome. Well, listen, guys, I don't see any questions coming in here, so I think we'll round it out for tonight. So, Carlos, thanks again for coming and doing this. I really appreciate it. It's awesome to have you here, and we'll definitely try and get you back in future. Thank you, everyone, for coming and participating and taking a look at these tips and techniques here. I will do my best to get the recording. I'll post it up and onto the SkillWave YouTube channel in the next 24 to 48, and we will let everybody know. I will post on the meetup group once that's available, so that everybody knows. And don't forget that the next 2 meetups are open for RSVPs, so you definitely want to check those out. And on that note, we'll sign off for tonight. So thanks very much for coming. We'll catch you all next time. All right.
Thank you. Thank you again for the opportunity, and thank you all. You bet. Thank you all for the last comments for everybody. Have a good night.